All right, so here we are with Pop Culture Ponderers. I'm Lauren,
I'm Joe.
and today, for the very first time, we're super, super jazzed. We have our very first guest.
My name is Andrew Jansen. I'm Joe's friend from a long time ago. So I'm the first guest, and I'm glad to be here.
And you're actually the one that supplied our fantastic idea for the episode today. This is one that we ran with, and it was best movie lines.
Awesome, love it.
We were all about that. Thought that was a fantastic fucking idea.
Yeah, no, we asked a bunch of close family and friends for help on picking our name, Pop Culture Ponderers. But the other thing we put in the questionnaire was, what would you want to be a guest, and what would you want to talk about? And Andrew hit us with the best movie lines. So this one was tough because there is a lot.
Yeah, it's a topic that, like,
I was not the only one who had to force myself to stop. So,
yeah,
I mean,
once you
apparently,
start.
according to you also had to, I gotta stop. I gotta stop.
Up to this morning, I was going, oh, is it too late for me to? I'm still scribbling things on my piece of paper right now. I was just
Yeah.
like, I'll just add this last one.
So this is probably a definite number. There's going to be a number 2, possibly a number 3.
Yeah, exactly. We're just going to be like dipping our toes into movie lines here. Expect to hear about this numerous times.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so like let's just go ahead and go right into it. I'm going to start with our iconic lines. Those things that like they're phenomenons. You hear them quoted again and again to the point where sometimes people say them and they don't even understand where they came from. These are the lines that have shaped culture like throughout time and history. They come from things they've defined a franchise or a movie or a moment in time. So like what are some of those lines for us? What are the things that if I say an iconic movie line to you,
Okay.
what hits you like
This
right in the heart?
this one I use on a weekly basis, if not daily.
Yeah.
But the Sandlot, you're killing me, Smalls.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic.
It
Yes.
hits me all the
Yes.
time, and I always use it.
Because all the time it's just okay, you're killing
kill
me,
me,
Smalls. And just in that same tone of voice too.
It could just be because my wife likes to torture me and give me more like honey-do list things.
Oh,
So it's like you're killing me, Smalls.
and as you're saying it, I can literally envision you using the line in your life. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yes. Okay. Absolutely fantastic. Another one. Okay, that I can't help. It's gonna be yippee ki yay, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Excellent choice, by the
Yippee
way.
ki yay,
no.
motherfuckers. Just as simple as little bit of anything, and yet you can apply that to almost any situation all the time.
Oh, all the time.
And everyone in the world seems to have heard it. All right, Andrew, this is you. Throw me a line.
Okay. All right. Should I do this one with it, or should I just say?
If you
am I
have
gonna
an
hit you?
accent,
Am I gonna make you do it right now?
No, I'm just saying I could do
I-
it.
I would
could
love-
either way.
I would love for our viewers
Okay. All right.
and Lauren to finally see.
Come with me if you want to live.
oh, see?
Now that one hits me because it is not only the same line as Kyle Reese's character saying to Sarah Connor, who is naive in the first film of Terminator, but Arnold being reprogrammed T-800, sent back by John Connor.
Yes.
Sorry, nerd had time moment. Obviously, this is apparently
Put it on.
for the course for this
Wear it.
podcast. It's so iconic because at this point in the timeline, Sarah Connor she's hardened. She's in jail, or not jail. She's in a psychiatric ward.
Yes.
She lost her son, who was played by Edward Furlong. John Connor, and John's teamed up with T-800, obviously, as everyone knows from the movie,
hmm
and. John is saying, "Mom," and she's like freaking out because she's thinking it's
Losing it.
Yeah, she's losing it. She's
Yes.
losing it because she thinks she's coming back to kill her.
Pure panic in that scene.
exactly.
Watching her face and like literally you see her spitting
Yeah.
out. You have all of the trauma of the first movie completely condensed in her and she is, fantastic.
So I mean, and it's just like, that's one of the best films ever.
Yes.
It is still to this day one of the best made movies and also one of the most iconic movies, let alone lines from any movie sci-fi or action or whatever.
Yes.
Because almost everyone from their mother to their grandfather knows that line.
Has heard
You
that
know,
line. And Arnold has done that for us before because we also have I'll Be Back. Come with me if you want to.
exactly.
And like, so it is, it's one of those moments that something about the writing in that frame,
Yeah.
like they're doing something really iconic there. It's part of it is it's like an idea that we haven't really messed with before. We're seeing technology rise in a different way at the 80s. So they're starting to look at like futuristic films in a different way. But there's something about that franchise that like full on catches you. I
You know
think it's
what?
the human element.
Not to deter, side rail, but
Yeah.
there's a whole, not nuance, but there's a whole thing. Like, didn't we have movies that tell us that the AI situation, like right now, didn't we have movies that tell us it was going to be a problem?
I'm pretty sure the Matrix mentioned that this might be an issue someday.
Yeah.
Terminator said.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course, Tesla bought. Okay, we're getting off
That's
topic.
not
Okay, all right. Sorry. Okay, next person.
But I do. I think that totally,
Yes.
like, exactly. There's something about that franchise that hits every single
It
time.
does.
There's a few lines.
It does. So.
Something in that is too. It's Arnold's delivery. You have that on lock. All right, so let's see, Joe. Give me another. What do you got?
This one is one of my personal favorites, on top of being iconic, and is Shirley, you can't be serious. I am serious,
And
don't call me Shirley.
Yes. That's great. That is great.
Fantastic. I remember being a little kid and watching that movie. The other one is the drinking problem too, but just watching that movie and just being like, what is happening? This might be the funniest thing that's ever occurred in my life.
I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
Exactly. I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
This whole
Does anybody speak
movie,
jive here?
Airplane is there's so many, like, that is one of the most quotable movies.
Oh yes.
There's
100%. 100%.
hundreds of lines.
There are certain movies that hit like that. Like there's something about the writing team and like the people that they were working with. They were able to come out with line after line after line. Or franchises that do that.
Maybe it's just the era of that.
Yes.
Because just like like that was made in the 1970s, right, or early.
That late 70s, early 80s. There's something about that time period.
I didn't put the dates.
No. Okay, no, I'm not saying we should know that.
For our listeners, if you want to do a deep dive and give us dates on everything that we've done, that's fantastic. But we're not those people. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, but it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because the writing was better back then for most part, especially for a comedy movie like that. Because like there's still sometimes like the other Friday I have a movie night with my family and we watched Naked Gun, the first one.
Oh, okay.
Iconic.
Nice.
Well, like, I mean, granted, I wasn't laughing my butt off, like it was the first time I saw it, but I giggled. These were funny moments and funny lines from Leslie Nielsen and all that. It was hilarious. Seeing Ricardo Montalban in a movie that's not Star Trek was great. So, but
I really do think that there's something to that. There's something about the way that movies were written and they had such a distinct personality. We've lost some of that in like our filmmaking, so I feel like the lines become a little bit more generic because we're trying to reach a wider audience all the time as opposed to one human being's voice like really shining through in the writing.
Honestly, like the broader audience type of situation. Obviously, you're gonna have your cult fanatics for these films and shows and all that, but it's like if you just let it out there, the word gets around, the water cooler talk, and that's how Game of Thrones got so popular, or Star Wars got so popular, or whatever. Name whatever IP you want to say, and it's like, oh really, I'll give it a watch. And I'm like, oh, I watched it, I didn't really, oh my god, I love that, I want to watch more, and that's how you get a cult following or a fandom following, so you just leave it be. Don't try to go for every finger in the pot.
Right, you just can't get everyone.
Put the pot out, let people go for it.
You need a distinct voice.
Not everyone.
I think that's key. So it's one of those things, like, and I see that again and again in the lines that really like appeal to me. It's one of those things that, again, we're not doing that thing where we're going for mass appeal. It's a specific sense of humor, and let me be clear, mine is not everybody's, but it's something that's really trying to appeal to an individual. So like one of my personal, or I was going to say, if I'm going to go back to like one of the grand lines that I think that really, really works is if I'm looking at something, I can go to something like Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club is we do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is we do not talk about Fight Club. Now, I can pull a couple different lines from that movie. I am Jackson Flame's sense of rejection. You're now shooting at your imaginary friend, and 4,000 pounds of nitroglycerin. But there is something really distinct in the writing and the point of view of that movie. So it's producing lines that even years later are still iconic because they're capturing an idea, a character. There's a vibe in that that's completely unique. It doesn't feel like anything else. I think that's one of the things that makes a unique line is when you're really expressing an idea as opposed to a corporate vision or a marketable product. And I think that the 70s and the 80s, they did a great job of really capturing that individual vision and voice. I think that was clear.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that comes from that time period for me, Joe? Anything that comes like, or like a vintage line that you super loved?
If we're going vintage, and now this is going back to this might
No.
be
Okay.
one of the I
I
think according to Amanda, because she always knows like information because she's into like infomercials and stuff like that. Because my wife is very boring,
She got the information for days, does Amanda?
but she said there was a it was Gone with the Wind. Frankly, dear, I don't give a damn.
Oh my gosh, that made my
Wow,
list.
I did not expect that from you and or her.
Oh, I
Well,
love
If
it.
You
it
know?
wasn't for my wife, I don't think I've ever would have
Right there.
saw Gone with the Wind. But
Fun fact, actually that was one of my favorite movies from my late mother. She loved that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. I love that
Yeah.
we have
No,
that coming
she,
in.
we're going vintage. That's where
Yeah,
we're
no,
going.
it's I never personally seen the movie, but my mom loved it, and one of these I'll watch it. But because I know it's an iconic movie for
It
the era and
is.
what it is. So
And that line it hits really hard. There's something about it in that realm of frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. There's
And
something about the way that he says that.
I did not know this, but she said that was the first time in any like movie that they used the word damn.
It was.
really,
It
Yeah.
was huge. It was
Shit.
revolutionary.
It
The
was a
same
big
way
deal.
that we have
Yeah.
a couple other first in film, but yeah, that was a major, major moment. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna honor Amanda. I'm gonna throw out a couple more of my vintage choices because, like, that one totally does. It takes me back. So we have, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I'm gonna go with my romantic comedies for Amanda. I'm gonna go with As You Wish from The Princess Bride because I don't think that anything else says I love you quite the way As You Wish does from that movie. Absolutely beautiful. Um, Here's Looking at You, Kid from Casablanca. I can fuck with that vintage line. And I'm gonna go one more old one. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Iconic, love it, love it, love it.
We're gonna need a
And just
bigger boat.
just seeing was it Roy Schneider?
Yeah, I think
His
so, right?
it's like just seeing his face. Like, as soon as he sees Bruce, aka that's the shark's name.
Yes.
Seeing just pop out of the water, he's like, it's just cigarettes, just like just falls. I don't know, like
The perfect flat
it's just
dead.
it's like we're gonna need a bigger.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm like, and fun fact that actually when they were filming that, most of the time the shark was not operating right, and they that's why they filmed a lot of things like thrashing the water by having like obviously somebody underneath doing something or whatever. But when it was working, obviously they did what they did, But it's just
Exactly.
I did not know that about that movie for the longest time.
Yeah,
So I
Bruce was a
forget.
big
Yeah.
problem on that
Oh, yeah.
set. He was, he was.
So
And I got two more older lines that
Oh, okay.
one Amanda made sure that I put it on my list was there's no crying in baseball.
I have that one
classic,
too.
classic.
Oh my gosh, because we love A League of Their Own.
Folks, there'll be probably a lot of overlap sometimes
Oh,
between these two. Just saying.
I was gonna say we do. We have a similar taste. There's a reason that we get along like we do.
And then another iconic one that I feel like people still use to this day is Bond, James Bond.
Oh, of
Yes,
course.
That was the
Bond.
other.
classic,
James Bond.
classic.
That's one of the things that I note again and again in like the vintage iconic lines is that they're really short. They're short and sweet and to the point. They
I was
hit you
about to say, to
hard
the
and you
point.
get right out.
Exactly, they're to the point. They're not drawn out like some of the newer stuff is the last 15,
Yeah.
20 years.
Right, exactly. So I can look at Star Wars. I have Luke, I am your father.
Yep.
I have I love you. I know.
That one's good.
Because you cannot do better than that.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going Star Wars, then you still got May the Force be with you.
Oh, which
That
like
one's a classic.
how is that not the
Yep.
first thing? Exactly. There's something about the way that they come out. Like it's one of those things you can leave the theater and those few words would be resonating in your head. Even some of the newer ones do that. So for me, a big one is Lord of the Rings. You shall not pass. I can hear, yep. I can hear Gandalf saying that in my to the end of time. That will always be one of the most iconic. And it is, it's one of those things that there's numerous lines that I personally can pull from that movie, but there's something about him in that moment that really does sum up that franchise for a lot of people. That sense of indomitable will, like that one line captures the feeling of the whole film.
And funny thing about that is when he got hit on the bridge and about to fall, he says, "Fly, you fools."
Farther.
Everyone thinks that he's talking about like contact eagles, like
Mm-hmm.
the giant eagles. Like fly is interpreted as like fly away, like
Like
run,
run.
like run away, like
As
because
fast
obviously
as
the
you
orc or the
can.
goblins were coming,
Move.
So it was more of like a move, like it's just like some the first thing came in his head, not like get like the Eagles were not a taxi service, they
We're gonna have to do an entire episode just breaking down Lord of the Rings in the way that people misinterpret the army of the Eagles because I
yeah.
cannot thank you. They
Plus,
are
the
intelligent
Eagles were
creatures.
intelligent creatures, and they knew that the Nazgul, the dragon-like creatures in Mordor, were dangerous in and themselves, and they knew they would be in trouble if they just went right in there without,
Right? We're not
yeah,
messing around with
exactly.
this.
So
So stay tuned for the part where Andrew comes back to discuss Lord of the Rings
I
with
have
us.
no problem, even though I pretty much haven't read the books in a long time and have only seen the
I was
movies.
going to say, we'll do our best not to recount that entire movie line for line because there are so many lines from that movie, like again, that come to me that I can quote. As I'm watching the movie, it's really, really hard for me not to almost go line for line because it's so beautifully written. One of the things that I
Yeah,
always like is when
no,
we have an
it is.
adaptation that pulls almost directly from its source material, like when you can quote the book in the movie,
Yeah,
one of my favorite things. I will die for that.
and another thing with Peter Jackson's adaptation of Lord of the Rings is that most of the fan base did enjoy it for what it
Hmm.
was, but there were still some real diehard people. Oh no, how come Tom Bombadil wasn't in? Like Tom Bombadil was not that integral part of the story overall, and everyone interpreted him as being the god of Middle Earth, and he was just
Hmm.
enjoying the world, and like because he picked up the ring and was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever,
Right.
it didn't affect him at all, and like. And like, why do you include him? Like, because he wasn't integral to the party or to,
Right.
to the to the to the whole movie or let alone
Yeah,
the book.
that's not how we're moving our entire story
Yeah,
forward exactly within this
exactly.
one.
Just like in like Game of Thrones, like they left certain things out in the show because the time frame or timeline, time frame of the show, it was stuff that was important in the book, but yet wasn't necessarily important for the show to continue.
Absolutely.
So but anyway,
You know what? Since you said it, I'm going to throw my Game of Thrones line in because I've got a few of these. One of my favorites in the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die.
that is such a great line.
And then I'm going to take you all the way back to the first episode. That moment, it's crystalline for me when Jamie is up there in the tower and he has his
Oh,
hand on Bran's shirt. The things I do for love.
and pushes the kid out the
Startling.
window.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, I remember that catching me in the chest. That was another one of those lines
yeah,
that like echoed in
yeah.
my head for a long time after. Whenever I can hear a character's voice like almost perfectly, every time I think of that moment, I can see him and just that moment of shove and the way it caught me in the chest the first time. Any line that takes you back to the first time that you heard it, I think that there's so much power in that.
Mm.
The way that it completely like that sense memory of feeling it for the first time, anything that resonates for you that way, that's a powerful line.
Mm.
That always counts for me.
Um, let's see. This is for my personal favorites. Let's see. Okay, I got a couple good ones here. Um, I'll go with the funny one. This is a it says, "I'd buy that for $1." It's from the character Bixby Snyder from RoboCop. You see him in a split
Ah,
like 2 3 second commercial on the TV in the movie.
okay.
And I just love that line because I'm like, I'd buy that for $1.
You get to throw it
So
out.
like I can throw it out every once in a while in real life, and it's an iconic line from that movie because it's from the 80s. Everything was like super well, comparatively now, super cheap, and it was throwaway commercialism
For
and
a
all that.
dollar.
And it was like, and the character, if you see the movie, is like over the top ginger, like big glasses, kind of like the size of your
Hmm.
glasses, like red hair, red mustache. He's like, looks in the camera, I'd buy that for $1. And I'm like, oh my god, and like it was such an iconic line. I'm like, that's so fucking funny.
Right.
Because Paul Vanderhoven is he's done another favorite movie of mine, actually a favorite movie of my brother and I. I'll do that one later. Where he's I wouldn't say slapstick, but more like what's the word?
Little more off the cuff in terms
Like
of
a
iconic?
political commentary,
Okay.
but also like satire. Definitely satire.
Yes.
Because there, I mean, if you watch RoboCop, the original, there's a lot
The whole like to some degree is we're playing with a lot of
of
satire in it.
course, you know,
Reminds me of Super Troopers sometimes.
oh, I love Super Troopers.
Oh,
But
God, how did I put that on my list? Any of those
I
quotes?
know, right? Same here. Same
now
here.
that we've thought about it, see,
Um,
this is why multiple episodes for our
Yeah.
movie line.
you know, but it was just he's very good at, he was very good, he's very good at his craft. I don't know if he still does movies now, but he's very good at that movie, let alone another one that I'll mention later. But it was just really good, and it was just stuck to me all these years. I
Hmm.
mean, I haven't seen the original RoboCop in like forever, but and when they tried doing the 2014 RoboCop with what I forget the actor's name.
Carl Urban. Don't we use Carl Urban in that
No, you're
one?
thinking of Judge
No.
Dredd.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm totally
By the
switching it
way,
up. Thank you.
excellent movie. Highly recommend it. Watch it on Netflix. You watch people enough watch it, we'll get a sequel. And Carl Urban definitely is.
He's a hell of an actor.
He's a hell of an actor,
We'll
and
just have ourselves a Carl Urban episode.
There's so many things you could do with him.
oh yeah,
Yeah, we can
he was
Lord
in
of the Rings.
he was
Lord
in
of the Rings,
he was Lord of the Rings, Dread,
The
Universe.
Boys,
Riddick Universe.
going
Yeah.
far out, Xena Princess Warrior Princess,
Oh,
Star
as
Trek.
as a Star Trek 2, yes, as a Caesar.
Oh.
And yeah, I didn't know that was him until after watching Lord of the Rings. I'm like,
He's got range.
That's a man that's delivered some lines in his
Yes.
time. Like he has
Oh,
totally
yeah.
thrown them out.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
and he is a pseudo method actor because when he was doing Dread, he did not break character.
I remember that.
yeah. Like he kept the helmet on, like even when he was in between takes and all that. From what I heard, and I'm like, dude, it's between takes, man. It's like, come on,
We could take a
like
little break
you
there.
can take a little break. Yeah. But yeah, so
All right, so Joe, I want to hear one of your lines. What is one of the lines that you use in like your active day-to-day life? Because like that's a great one that we can. I'd buy that for $1. I like it. What's one that you use all the time? Like what's a movie line that translates into like how you actually speak?
I don't think you guys are gonna see this one coming, but once in a while, like we'll get something done at work, and it might not be perfect, but I'll use the line from Babe. That'll do, pig.
So cute.
nice.
Oh,
Nice.
that's
I love
so
it. I
sweet.
love it. That'll do.
You know what? Because I do. There's a lot of times. That'll do, pig.
I
That'll
usually
do.
throw
Just
in
let
the
it
that'll do, pig. That'll do.
Usually I
do.
don't add
That'll
the
do,
pig
pig. That'll
part,
do.
but I'll say that'll do. But that's where I'm really going with it.
Nice. I like that one. One for me that comes up all the time is may the odds be ever in your favor. May the odds
I
be
love that
ever in your favor.
from Hunger Games.
Yes, exactly. Because there's something about that too. Like no matter what the circumstance is, you know what? May the odds be ever in your favor. Rarely are they, but let's
No.
hope for it, sweetheart.
So this one I don't think I'll never really comes up in a conversation or in my everyday, but it is totally iconic. But Toy Story, to infinity and beyond.
Oh,
Nothing
yeah.
wrong with that.
Because you're not going to be able to use it all the time, but
No.
anyone in the world that hears it, they know exactly who said it and exactly what it was. Fantastic line.
Okay, I got another iconic line that Joe will appreciate this one too. It's like, "Come on, I'm right here. Come and get me." Says by Dutch from Predator. So it's towards the end of the movie.
Now I'm curious,
So,
is there any man that has more iconic lines than Arnold?
I don't
He
know.
might be the one that is seen
Um,
most in fandom.
The one line that I do want him to say
Mhm.
involves an aircraft of some sort.
oh,
Great. Anticipation is building, guys. We're waiting for this line. It's
I've
coming
been
up.
waiting for this all day.
Okay, thanks. That one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah. I'll save that for a little later.
Can you get it in at some point?
Oh yeah, don't worry.
For everybody at home that doesn't know Andrew, at our firehouse, he
Sorry about that.
uses this line just randomly, but always flawlessly. And I love the way he does it. It makes my day every time, and I'll always have a smile on my face after he says it.
The perfect delivery of the perfect line.
Oh my
yeah.
god, it
Thanks.
makes you laugh and like
One of those like personal motto lines
Oh,
that you
fuck
can
yeah.
just use all the
It's-
time.
all the time.
it could just be my favorite, and I'm hyping up so much. Either way, I love it to the
I
point
love
where
it when the things I say that are iconic movie lines or whatever, brightens the day of my good friends.
Yeah, no, it's just,
Right, there we go.
it's one of the few like inside jokes that we have that I absolutely love, and I want to share it with everybody. So at some point he will do it.
Don't worry, I will do the line. So
I think
I'm
I have him
excited.
laughing too hard to where he can't do it at the
yeah,
moment.
I might do that in the middle. I might do it towards the end. Just FYI,
When you feel ready, you pop it in. We'll be
Don't worry,
excited
don't
for
worry.
it.
Keeping everybody in suspense. I love it.
I'm going to go back to my tiny lines.
Okay.
Okay, because I've got a few that I'm looking at on my list here. So, one is literally just a name, Mr. Anderson.
Okay. Matrix.
Iconic,
Mr.
iconic. Love it
Anderson.
from the awesome.
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo, thank you, Hugo
I've
Weaving.
got you.
Mr. Elrond from Lord of the Rings, also.
Another
Yes.
character who has, or another actor who has a hell of a range.
Oh God, yes.
Fantastic. And we have him again in The Lord of the Rings. As he's sitting there at the council, um, what is it? When he's talking to them and no weapon of man can undo what has been made in the fires of Mordor. But again, there's something about that line from The Matrix that just sticks with me every time. I've got another 2-word, Avengers Assemble.
I love that.
That
I love
one's
it.
a classic.
Right? And I'm going to go a little bit longer here. I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At least you
both
took-
the original version of that and the Endgame version where he's gasping at his last breath and he's like, I am, and he Iron Man. He snaps his fingers and then like
Yes.
the whole thing happens, So
Now, you mentioned this before, a line that was delivered in multiple times, but in different ways. How the line being delivered by the
Oh.
character changes it
Yes.
wildly.
yes,
And this is one of those lines.
context is people.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
so.
The first time that he says it and the last time that he says it are so wildly different. The message and the meaning have changed completely because we've watched
yeah.
his character evolve and
course.
change. So that's amazing writing too. When you can take the same words and have them hit me in a completely different way based on what's going on with that character.
And with Robert Downey Jr., like I know he had a trouble pass and all that, but when he came back after his rehab and all that, and he was casted to be Tony Stark, and when I saw him as Iron Man and then being Tony Stark, I'm like, he is Tony Stark. He just like Chris Evans being Captain America, he just brought that out, and these people are just iconic, to their roles.
It's not just the line, but how they portray the character
Exactly.
becomes iconic.
And like for Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, he was
Mm.
born to play that role.
Yes.
I'm like, say what you will about his Green Lantern escapades, but we'll not go into that. But he was just born to play. It's just like he can just deliver the Deadpool lines. You pick a Deadpool line from a comic, Deadpool comic that's out there, he can deliver that, no problem.
He's so clear as that character that you can read the comic and almost read it now in his voice. Even
Yes,
if he
almost
hasn't
every
said
time
it.
I see a Deadpool, I'm like, I'm reading this as Ryan Reynolds' character as Deadpool. It's great.
Totally change it.
Master Kevin.
We're gonna go ahead, and I was gonna say, since you brought it up, I'm gonna throw in Captain America too. I can do this all day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can do this all day.
No.
I don't know. Okay, so now we've gotten into the Marvel MCU, and you and I have done this before, but I've got a couple more that come from that world. So, I'm gonna go with I am Loki, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
That was a good one.
And you know what? And with that line, obviously in the first time he said it is he's trying to demand respect, and he's trying to
Yes.
demand I am a royal descent, and I am a prince of Asgard, and
My suffering has entitled me to the greatness and the goodness,
exactly.
the things that I take now.
And then later on, when in the show Loki, at the end of season 2, when he quote unquote sacrifices himself to be the tree of timelines, he says the same line, but it's for a different purpose. The context being, I love my friends, I love Sylvie,
Right.
even though she's a variant of
himself.
Yes,
Exactly.
but yeah, again, he's doing it for the right reasons of why he says that,
Right.
why he's doing that. So the context is different than when he originally said it in the first time he said it. No,
We
so.
have a writer that really understands the world they're looking at and the character that they're writing for. They understand the power in what was said
Yes.
before and how it transformed the character now. Like it's one of those things, one of the things that I always really appreciate in beautiful writing, especially when you can see somebody that has a point of view, is when they're really taking you on a journey with the character. And that's one where Loki, like somebody came in and they really understood who he was and what was happening with him for this 11, 12, 13, 14-year journey. And you can hear that
Yeah.
one line,
It
I am
also
Loki, and it changes completely. Burdened with glorious
it
purpose.
also helps that the actor cares
Oh,
cares about
yes.
the character. Not that he should only play that character ever in his film escapades, but it's like he puts effort into doing the lines.
Yes.
Okay, effort into doing the actions and the mannerisms and all that, and it goes a long way because then it makes the character seem alive and seem real, even though it is a comic book slash mythological character. You know, it helps. It goes a long way to make the character believable.
There's a
You know,
tangible quality to that
yes,
person at that point.
yeah,
All right, so you sparked this heart in me, and I'm going to run with it because for me, one of the people that does that the best is Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter.
iconic, great,
Exactly.
awesome. You
And
know,
we have forever and ever and ever a census taker once tried to talk to me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and nice Chianti. Like
oh,
fantastic. And we've got a few different lines in there. Senator, I like your suit. There's a couple that are just personal to
that's
me
right,
in there,
that's
but
right.
there's something beautiful about the way that he embodies that character. And you have the combination of not just the iconic line, but the personification, the mannerisms, the way that he's moving his face and his body. It's not just that the line is written beautifully, it's that the actor connects with that character and they're telling you in such a way that your whole brain just goes, oh, cool, that's who that person is supposed to be. Hannibal Lecter is this person. He speaks this way. It is this version. Anthony Hopkins is bringing something that is truly transformative to this line. Somebody else could have said it and it wouldn't have hit the same way
Yeah, no, no.
because of what he's doing with it. So, who does that for you? Who do you hear and you think to yourself, this line, this person, it only could have been done this way? It is truly something special because of them.
Okay, this one, I go to the movie Dirty Harry, and
Mm.
it's you got to ask yourself one question: do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Like that's a classic, and you think Clint Eastwood
Did
wrote
I
it?
Yes,
fire 5 bullets or 6 bullets? You know,
exactly. And you think, Clint, there's
Yeah.
something great there. Perfect example. Perfect example. Okay, so I don't know if I would call this completely iconic, but it's the
by the
same
way,
kind of
your
vibe.
basement here's a dead zone.
Yeah, I know
Oh,
that.
okay.
That this whole area is.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. We just live in like a little
Okay.
skullduggery basement.
I live in a
Okay.
bubble.
If we're gonna go with the way that the person delivered it, one of the ones for me, and again, it's not necessarily iconic in that it changed my entire life, but I love it for ever and ever and ever. I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
There's so
Fucking
many
Samuel
That
L.
movies.
movie is
Jackson.
so ridiculous and
Oh,
stupid.
not.
It is just so funny because
It's
it's
perfect.
it's a bunch of bad guys trying to kill the person that Samuel L. Jackson's trying to protect, and
Yeah.
they use snakes and pheromones to kill the said person with the
The
snakes.
whole plot is ridiculous, and
It's so over the top. It's oh my god!
if you
But
don't
it's
have
it's a
him
great movie.
exactly
It
delivering that line with that intensity, something changes. Like if somebody's half-assing that line, you get to a point where we're like,
you
okay,
could
whatever.
definitely phone that in.
But it's him. I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes.
Yeah,
Fantastic every time.
yeah. So yeah, that's definitely
There's so many lines that you could pick from Samuel L.
oh
Jackson,
god,
though.
yes.
He was one that I had a really, so he was a really interesting one for me too, because like I came back again and again to him in Pulp Fiction. So this was a really interesting phenomenon that I experienced numerous times with
Okay.
Quentin Tarantino. It wasn't that I could pick a specific line. The man runs monologues that stick in my entire head. There are certain little bits of them for sure, but that's somebody who has an entire writing style. He has such a distinct point of voice that like as I'm going through his films, it's hard for me to choose just an individual line. I end up running on paragraphs, which I found happened a lot in the lines that weren't just iconic. Again, when we're talking about like an iconic cultural line, those tend to be a little bit shorter. They're really quick. There's something that people can remember or quote or like throw off the cuff really easily. But for me, if I'm going to remember a line, a lot of times it's like a few words. Like I'm going through like a whole thing. So, like, one that came for me that's big is Dune. Fear is the mind killer.
it's a great line.
Fear is the little death that brings the total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to wash over me and through me. And when it is gone, I will turn my inner eye to its path. Where there was fear, there shall be nothing. Only I shall remain.
Okay. Now, do you prefer the 1984's version of that with Kyle something, or do you prefer Timothy what's
Chalamet.
Chalamet's version of it, which is basically the same line, just the
So
delivery?
I will always, 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 exactly. There's something magical about the way that Frank Herbert wrote it because just reading it, there was something true to me in that. I remember being before I had seen the 1984 version and before the new version had
I
come
love the
out to it.
19. It's iconic to me.
There is something about the fever dream of that film that I will never be able to get over in my entire life. But there was something about that line that, and I'm somebody that deals just like on a personal level. Anxiety has always been a big thing for me. Anxiety and that struggle with how I function, like, and there was something so pure and crystalline about that view. Fear is the mind. Just reading it, the book, the line out of the book was clear. This does make sense. Hearing both versions does something different for me because the versions of the film are so different. I think that even though the line is the same, it communicates a slightly different meaning. We're seeing them cope with fear in a different way. So it's hard for me to pick a version that resonates more truly in my heart. I think it kind of depends on my mentality, but the line always hits. There's never a point where I don't think that fear is the mind. Even now, I'll be in the middle of whatever I'm doing in my day-to-day life, and that's what a line that comes to me. Fear is the mind killer. Like I must not fear. There's something about that. So I don't know. For you, which is stronger? For you, which hits more?
The 1984's version is more iconic, said by I forget the actor's last part of his name is Kyle
McLaughlin. Got
McLaughlin.
you.
His version of saying it as Paul is just, I don't know. It just hits me more because I'm an '80s baby. I'm an '85. So it was made the year before I was born. But it's just, it's just like more like it's iconic. And seeing the 2021 version, I'm like, yes, it was again iconic, but it just didn't hit me the same way
Hmm.
as hearing it the first time because it's the inner monologue in the head, and he's saying it,
Yes,
you know,
speaking to
and he's trying to
himself.
hold because his hand is in the box, from the mother,
Yes. So we have the Reverend
sweet
Mother. So here, I want
right
to I want to check in with you real quick because I think that in the newer version, the place that we see it the most is Jessica. You see her.
yeah,
So when Paul has his hand in the box and you see her trembling in fear.
yeah,
So
she's
in the
like,
new
please
version,
love God,
it's her saying it that has more resonance for me. I think
mm,
in the original it is Paul, and it is originally Paul's line, so that makes sense. I
yeah,
can see that as you're describing it now,
yeah,
that difference in the way that it came out.
yeah, and the yeah, it just hits more with the 1984 version versus the 2021.
Yeah,
So,
I can see the
and
difference in just time.
I know there was the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries that did this, and that's a whole again. We can have this whole discussion on
We'll have a Dune episode.
the three different versions of that, but I know that was said by the main actor in that one, but it's just I don't really remember him saying it.
Exactly. It doesn't resonate
Nothing
the way that
against him and his
either of the
acting
two
ability.
do.
It's just did not. I don't remember it
For
saying it.
sure. For sure.
But I
For
know he
sure.
did. I know he said it. I know it's iconic. You have to say it in the
Because
movie.
it's that line. It's got
Exactly.
to be in
You
there.
have to. But
There's no question.
So Andrew will be back on our Dune special.
Yes, exactly. Guys,
I'm not trying to insert myself. I'm just saying, like, it's like just throwing out topics here these guys can talk about.
we're excited about the Dune
But
special, so
but
it's going to happen.
but yeah, damn, I gotta read a lot of books now.
Oh, I
No,
know, right? We'll catch up
but
all the way.
but yeah. So but yeah, it's like more iconic with me. So
So that's one of the longer lines for me. Like I said, I have a few that are like that, that are personal lines and they run a lot longer for me. So another one for me, very personally, and I don't know if it works like this for other people, but it's Boondock Saints. I think a lot of people have not seen that movie. And shepherds we shall be for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hands that our feet may swiftly carry out thy commands. And we shall flow a river forth to thee, and teeming with soul shall it ever be. In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. I remember seeing that movie, being young, and
excellent movie.
feeling, yes, the essence of so much of what that entire movie was trying to say in that singular line and having it stay and resonate in my chest.
There's two not Coraline, but the two other lines from that movie that I love them so much.
Oh, throw 'em at me.
Both both are said by by
Willem Dafoe.
William Defoe is
Oh yes.
like, and there was a
That's one of the best
and then
moments.
I'm like, I'm trying to remember the exact quote. He's like symbology, symbology. Do you mean symbolism?
Exactly.
Symbolism.
Greenberg is over there with the symbology. He got rushed by some huge friggin' dude. Exactly. That's another movie where we have such a distinct writing team and they picked the perfect cast. And Willem Dafoe is throwing out every line with his full body. That moment when he's like, and there was a firefight. It is like that will always resonate in my head just because he's thrown himself completely in. Fantastic recollection.
Yep,
Fantastic
yep.
recollection.
Symbology.
Symbology?
Another line from that movie that always hits me is when they're in the armory picking up their stuff, and
Oh my God!
he pulls out the knife, and he's like,
Oh God!
they're talking about the rope, and he's like,
Why you need the fucking rope?
yeah,
Well, they always have the fucking rope. Yeah, we're gonna get up there and you're not gonna fucking use the fucking rope, and then they're up there tussling
Yeah.
the vents.
You and your fucking
Yeah.
rope.
You your fucking rope.
get your stupid fucking rope there, Rambo.
Yes, get your stupid fucking rope there, Rambo. God, perfect choice, Joe. Perfect
What was
choice.
the cat's name? What was the cat's name?
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's another line that now hits me because you guys are talking about this. But it's after the fact that they're drinking, and he goes, "It is on," and then he punches the table. The cat blows apart across the wall,
It's just like nonchalant on the
and Rocco goes, "Is it dead?" Like I die laughing every time to this day.
Every time. I remember watching that movie the first time and just like the shock of it.
Same.
And then
That was I was like, and all of a sudden, oh my, holy shit! I'm like, that's
dying
hilarious.
into laughter. Could
Oh my
not
God.
breathe. Could not breathe. So that brings me all the way again, like back to something like Snatch, where like I'm into my cult classics now. Okay. Like these are my weird little off-brand movies that not everyone has seen, but something about those lines stick with me all the time. So Snatch, we go with a full on line. Do you know what nemesis means? A righteous infliction of retribution manifested by an appropriate agent, personified in this case by a horrible cunt. Me. And those little moments where like you have like the perfect monologue delivered, or again, like it's a line that most people aren't going to know. But for me, I will never be able to think of that. Oh, and the other one is Brad Pitt. Uh, she likes mashy zappa covers as he's getting there and describing the entire caravan for his mother. There's certain movies that you could hear or you hear someone even just say the name of the movie and the line completely unfiltered springs into my mind. I cannot help it at all.
Now another iconic line that I'm thinking about, since we're talking about like iconic movies,
Mm-hmm.
but you got Scarface. Say hello to my little friend.
Oh, say hello to my little friend. And again, short and sweet there.
Yeah.
All you need to do is remember, say hello to my little friend.
Say hello, my little friend.
I love that one. All right, so now I'm going to get sweet with some of mine because, again, short, but every single time from the Notebook. So this is one that I'm going to give out to Amanda again because she loves these same movies. So I have two from this one, but the first one is if I'm a bird, you're a bird. Or if you're a bird, I'm a bird. There's something so perfect in that. We have Noah and Allie out in the water, and she's describing this perfect love. If you're a bird, I'm a bird. Whatever you are, I will be with you. And then we have another one from that movie. Read this and I'll come back to you. So, like, I love my little romantic lines too. They're ones that, like, they sneak out of nowhere, but they're so, so sweet. I'm going to throw in Pride and Prejudice because it's one of my favorites all the time. I love you. There is something perfect in that. Something absolutely perfect in that. All right, those are going to be my little sweet asides, and then we can go back to. So let's see. Somebody throw me something that takes me into another realm entirely.
Well, this one goes back to I guess it was the '80s with Back to the Future. Roads,
Oh,
where we're going, we don't need
don't
roads.
need roads. Perfect.
Such an iconic line, such an iconic scene. And it's split, goes right next to the car, lifts up, turns tires inwards, and becomes a hovercraft, and then
Yeah.
turns around and flies towards the screen.
Yeah,
You know,
that's one that even as you're hearing the line, you can see the scene
Yeah.
almost perfectly. Like it recalls it, like in your entire brain. I love moments like that. All right, so for me, one of the ones that does that is God creates dinosaur, God destroys dinosaur. God creates man, man destroys God. Man creates dinosaur, dinosaur eats man. Woman inherits the earth. Every single time I think of that line from Jurassic Park, I'm just back in the car watching her and watching the two of them. You've got Ian Malcolm and who is it? What is the other doctor? Dr. Grant.
Yes,
And they're
Dr.
instantly just turning to her and just that moment of man eats dinosaur or dinosaur eats man. Woman inherits the earth. Perfect line every time. Every time it makes me happy. Can't get over it.
Let's see. I got a couple iconic ones here.
I was gonna say, if you've got
Yeah.
iconic, because I'm getting down to like my personal favorites, the things that they stick with me forever and ever, but I don't know if they're gonna hit anyone else the
I
same.
got like 2 or 3 iconic left, but
Throw them out, yeah.
so another one, which was from Titanic, where
Oh,
I'm the king of the world.
yes.
That
On the
is
front of
iconic.
the
That is
boat.
iconic.
And I mean, if we're gonna do Titanic, I'm flying, Jack. I'm flying. Like, how do we not? So again, like really, really short, really sweet, but there's something about that that's perfect. Like if you say that, you could be anywhere. You could be in Walmart and you would say that and I'd be like, oh, cool, we're watching Titanic. My entire brain would be stuck in mid-Atlantic and I would be done with whatever we were doing. All I would see was that movie.
Then we got Frankenstein from 1931. It's alive. It's alive.
It's alive! It's alive!
Perfect.
Nice reference, by
Right?
the way.
And then Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
I love that one too. Because there's something about that one that always stays with me for sure, for sure.
I got one from Terminator. This is the last one I got.
How have we not had a Terminator? Okay, what do you got from Terminator?
Hasta la vista, baby.
Oh my goodness!
How
Oh
have
my
we
goodness, I
not
didn't write that down.
talked about that already?
What is wrong with us that we didn't get to Hasta la Vista, baby?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't have that as one of mine, but I just kind of want to take all of the Arnold lines. I wanted to kind of maybe spread out
Share
to
them
her
out
a
with
little bit to
everyone.
you if you ever want to do it.
Well, I think I got one other line from Arnold, but it wasn't from Terminator.
Oh, okay.
It was a scene. This might not be so iconic, but it might be more personal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it's from True Lies, where he's in the jet
Ooh, fun pull.
and he has the terrorist on the missile, and he just goes, "You're fired."
It's one of my personal favorites, but
Excellent
nice
choice.
though. Yeah.
Excellent choice.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, I this is a personal favorite of mine.
Mhm.
I say this whenever I can, be it in the proper context or not the proper context. Like, game over, man, game over. That's said by Private Hudson from Aliens when after the dropship crashes by
Yes.
outside the atmospheric processor, and he's freaking the fuck out.
Right? You can use that all the time.
I love using that line whenever I can. So
This is one of my personal lines that I use again, regardless of context, because to me it's appropriate no matter what. By Grabthar's hammer, you shall be fed.
yes, that is such. All right. I'm
That was gonna come
I'm a
from
Star Trek fan, and I love fucking that movie because as being a Star Trek fan, I appreciate being poked fun at by a person who
so
made that
lovingly done.
because Galaxy Quest is the iconic go-to parody Star Trek movie, while
Yes.
Spaceballs is the iconic Star Wars parody movie.
Which both, like we have yogurt the toilet paper, we have yogurt the lunchbox, we have yogurt that I mean like both are gonna be fantastic.
Yogurt the flame. Oh wait, no, sorry, that was the Spaceballs flamethrower.
Yeah, exactly.
The kids love it.
The kids, exactly. But there's something so perfect about because like that's again a line like we were talking a little bit earlier. You were mentioning lines that kind of transform as they're being said. That's one that even in that movie you have him say it the first time and by Grabthar's hammer you shall be avenged.
Yeah.
And then at the end it's a line that matters.
Exactly, it
By
matters when he
Grabthar's
actually
hammer.
when he means it in the
You shall
battle.
be beautiful every single time, and a lot of people don't know it. It comes from like a slightly somehow still unknown movie.
Yeah.
Every time
I
hits
don't
for
know
me.
how it's so good.
Fantastic line.
And they actually
Fantastic
are
line.
trying to make a sequel to that. Either a sequel or an actual TV show.
All day long, I would watch that.
I'm like,
All day
I'm
long,
like,
I would watch
either
Galaxy
way,
Quest.
I'm game.
Yeah.
They don't, you know, no, they don't
100%.
necessarily have to get the same people. Obviously, not everyone can come back,
You just catch the vibe, and I'm
but
in.
just get the right people to be casted. You will have yourself a great like the Orville from Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
That was actually a pretty good show.
Actually wanted to do his own Star Trek show. But Paramount or CBS at the time was like, no, you're not. You're a comedian guy. And I'm like, well, he's like, pull a Bender. Well, fine. I'll make my own show with blackjack and hookers. And we have a Star Trek based like show that has blackjack and hookers basically, and there's nothing wrong with that because it is actually a surprisingly good show.
It is a very good show.
And he's currently working on season 4 right now. So Disney did greenlight it. He just has to finalize the scripts. And
nice. We just have to get there. Nice. Good sign. Good sign.
Yeah.
So do we want to take this into personal favorites?
I was gonna say I've started to mess with those just because I can't help